Good morning, business owners. Mike Bosma, your business savvy CPA, coming to you from Studio B, that Studio Bosma Business Center. Our new experiment of doing video instead of just audio for the radio show. Of course, if you listen to the radio show, you still catch it every Saturday morning at 10, News Talk 780 KOH or KQH.com live streaming. But for those YouTubers, the audience is growing every day. That want to get their news, their insights, their business expertise a little bit more video friendly. Welcome to Bosma on Business on our podcast. So one of the things that we have committed to do each and every week is bring to you some interesting stories, some fascinating tidbits of how different people strive in the United States to make a buck or two or 10 or bazillions, whatever their path is. Today's installment of Bosma on Business. Yao Yao, did I get it right?
You're right.
Now we're talking. How do you pronounce your last name? Zhuang.
Zhuang. Close.
Okay.
It's pretty close.
We're just going to go with Yao Yao.
Yes.
Yao Yao, welcome to Bosma on Business. So I guess we start off, tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. So you're a real estate agent.
Yay.
What's going on there? Why'd you decide to sell houses for a living?
See, it's a long journey. It has to come back years ago when I landed here in the United States. I would say 8 years ago. Come from China. I was a mom. Didn't know anybody. Never thought I would be doing anything related with real estate. But since we lived here for years and we didn't own anything, my husband had a good income. But as a foreigner, we didn't have credits. We wanted to buy a house. It was such a pain. We got a rehab property. My husband had to scrape everything out, took a long time to get it. But it was such a pleasure to see all the process, how I went through and wanted to help other people. I had small children. I saw the changes when we have a property. Before we didn't have a property. We move a lot. Stability, emotions. It's just so much. As a mom, we wanted to do the best for our kids. I want to help other people. You just say, yeah, let's do this. Okay. Let's give it a try.
So you decided to become a real estate agent. What was involved to become a real estate agent?
To me, it's a little different. I'm a foreign person. Everything is new to me. I had to learn the material. I had to learn the new terms. My finance, I wasn't working, so I had to rely on my husband. I borrowed $500 from my uncle to do my real estate test. Invest in a class. And do my, I had to get up super early at 4 a.m. to do my homework, listening to, the recorded lessons. It was fun because I knew there's something different waiting for me. It was very, very different experience for me.
So,
yeah.
And I guess when we talk about our entrepreneurial journeys, so if I hear you right, your husband's working, you're thinking, hey, we'd like to buy a house. We need credit. It is interesting, right, for the benefit of our listeners. Getting credit is one of those things, that oftentimes if you've had credit for a while, you don't really think of anymore. But when you don't have credit, there's a lot of people that are out there that really are trying to take advantage of you. And you just have to be careful, right? So it's you go I don't have any credit. Well, I remember my 18-year-old daughter, Malia, she wanted to get credit. She's 18. She has never had a job. So how does she get credit? Right? Well, they looked at her bank account balance and the bank gave her a credit card based on her bank account balance. So, and of course, I'm a fan for people of this show. There's all kinds of hacks, tips, and tricks to be able to build your credit score. But having a credit score will give you all kinds of access to capital, liquidity, and flexibility, and save you a buck or two than if you don't have it. So it's it doesn't cost anything to get a good credit score. It might cost a little bit to maintain it. Got to be smart, not silly. But having it will make the world a difference for you. So you decided, Yao Yao, to go down the path of entrepreneurship. And you chose real estate, and I guess real estate. I'm a real estate agent too. So in fact, when we're done here, I have to take my ethics class. It's due by the end of the month. Yay me. So 36 hours a year of continuing professional education so I can learn how to sell houses, even though I'm a business broker. And none of what all of my CPE really relates to what I do. So, it's a regulated business, regulated industry, and you have to play by the rules. So, for you, how long have you been a real estate agent?
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, when you decided to become a real estate agent, what advice were you given on becoming an entrepreneur?
I would say just be determined. Don't be scared of all the noises out there. Don't compare yourself with anybody. I was brand new. I'm like blank paper. I didn't know anybody, and I made it third year. And I am at like 100% in my commission now. And
Okay.
they see I'm $100,000. You can't do anything like just easy. You just
Right.
have to put the effort in and just be determined. Know where you want it to. Don't look at now. I'm zero. Look at in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where, so how does that commission split work for real estate professionals with their broker?
Us in our broker, I have full faith in him at beginning. I wasn't looking at commission. I was looking like how many deals I can sell in a year.
Right.
We have a split, where my broker put so much energy and education in us. And that's where he took a part of the commission. But once I hit the production, numbers of production, and I get more commission after that.
Right.
But every year is a new beginning years. My anniversary is October. So before October, I got 2 escrow closed. Before that, I get 100%.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
super happy.
So, the holy grail, then you start all over November 1st, right? And then you start, working your way through that waterfall of commissions, different commission percentages based on your production. So when we look at, the fiscal year ended October 2025, how many houses are you planning on selling for that year?
So my goal is 20. I'm having 12 right now. So we have new clients that are working with us, working with lenders, trying to get them. Some of them just waiting, waiting for the rates to drop or,
Right.
just looking at the market. See, I'm pretty confident a couple of them going to get in before that.
Well, I guess let me ask you this. So,
Yeah.
rates have been high. They're starting to drop a little bit. If, in your experience for the last 3 years, is there a correlation between interest rates and how much properties are selling for?
I would say from my experience is affordability. Most people, when they buy a house, have a free time frame they have to get in. Like most people not waiting for the rates to drop. So it doesn't really affect too much. I would say a couple of them might be waiting because they really wanted to get in, like affordability. So like the rates if it drop 1 point, that could be a couple $100 difference. Is that they will feel more confident to get in. So they were more cautious. I don't blame them, It's a big commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish, Yao Yao, big commitment, ish. If you look at, from the Keystone CPAs, there's 3 branches, right? You have the CPA firm, business brokerage, wealth advisory. And the wealth advisory side of the equation, Brian Wheeler, would say, buying a house is the biggest no-brainer you'll ever do. And what people really focus in on is, well, if I buy the house today for pick a number, 400,000, and I sell it in 3 years for 40,000, I made $40,000. Yeah, that's just not how it works, right? Because if you looked at it from a real financial perspective, you're paying rent, right? So if you're paying, on a $400,000 house, because basically whether you rent the house from somebody else, they're going to, this thing called a cap rate, they need a certain return on that investment. So right now in real estate should be returning anywhere from 3 to 5% of the value of it in the form of rent. So let's just pull out my handy dandy calculator, my phone. And if I said, okay, and I should be able to do it Saturday morning, so don't bust my chops on this, but $400,000, and let's call it 5% because the math is easy, right? I should expect $20,000 a year in rent divided by 12. I should rent that for $1,600, call it $70 a month, $1,670 a month, right? And then you go, okay, well, what's my mortgage? Whatever. But if you're paying rent, that rent goes to the landlord's benefit, not to your benefit. So you're paying it anyway. You got $1,670 that you're going to pay in rent to live in a $400,000 house. And that's sunk money, sunk costs. That ship has sailed and has left the building. So then you look at what's your mortgage payment, right? And so, I don't know. So let's say you finance $400,000. You know off the top of roughly what your mortgage payment would be?
It really depends on how much down they put it in. I would say around 2,000.
Around 2,000. So let's just say $2,000. So if people are like, well, I can't afford. Oh my
Right.
goodness, golly, gee whiz. I'm
So
paying
much
$2,000.
more.
All right, I'm paying $330 more a month to buy versus rent. Oh, you silly goose. Because if you buy, right, now, first off, it's tax advantage. You can deduct your interest if you have enough to itemize. Now, under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, that's harder to itemize because the threshold went up, whatever. But you can either itemize, deduct that plus your taxes. But now you have interest to pay. If you're paying, I think the interest rates now are we around 6.5%? Yao Yao?
Close.
Ish.
Pretty-
Ish.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but again, you have a $400,000 loan times 0.065. You're going to pay $26,000 a year in interest ish, right? We're not trying to make this a financial exercise.
Right.
But now you can deduct that. Say your average bracket's 25%. That makes you $5,000. That's way more than you spend in the extra money, right? So you're paying yourself, right, through the tax benefit.
Exactly.
Number one. And then that $400,000, how much, when you're looking at real estate, how much should somebody hope that real estate would appreciate every year?
I would think if you have if you hold it long term, I don't see long, like 7 years every year, you can appreciate at least $15,000. $15,000, you don't do anything.
So let's do this when we come back. I got Yao Yao Zhuang, a realtor from SNP Homes,
Yeah.
and we are talking about why it's smart to buy versus rent when we come back. It's Bosma on Business.
I was born with a congenital heart defect and almost died. But thanks to research funded by the American Heart Association, I had heart surgery that saved my life. Learn more at helpheart.org.
Welcome back to Bosma on Business. Your host, Mike Bosma. Talking about the 1, 2, 3s and ABCs of how to make money in real estate. I had my youngest son a number of months ago come to me and said, Dad, if somebody had $40,000, how would you recommend investing it? I said, do they own a home? Well, no. Go buy a home. Well, no, I want to invest in something sexy, like Bitcoin before it was Bitcoin, or Tesla before it was Tesla. Best thing you can do with that $40,000 is buy, with a FHA loan, buy a home. Now, on with me is Yao Yao Zhuang from SNP Homes. Been a real estate agent for 3 years. Of course, we know we're fans of SNP Homes. Daryl Plummer and his team over there do a great job. I don't know if Yao Yao, you've ever been in one of my trainings. Usually once a year, I train all of the agents for SNP Homes how to be.
I was there.
There you go, right? How to game the system in real estate. Not that as a real estate agent, you give advice, right? We can't, like stay in your lane. If you're a real estate agent, don't give tax advice, don't give legal advice. But if you're a good real estate agent, you know what questions to make sure you ask the people that give the advice, right? You might want to ask. So like on this case, right? But before the break, we were talking about, how much money are you going to make if you buy a home? You have a $400,000 mortgage. You're going to pay, a certain amount of interest. You figure 6.5%. That's fine. 26,000. Then what tax affect that? Because you can write it off. You save $5,000 in taxes. If you're paying a little bit more for your mortgage than you would have for rent, you made that back just through the tax benefit of owning a home. And what our brokers tell us, right? Every real estate agent in the state of Nevada has to have a broker that really takes on the responsibility for the acts of the agent. And for that, the broker gets a commission split. That's the business of real estate brokerage. So they get their share. And as Yao Yao said, right now, up until the end of October, she's on 100% commission territory, which means she gets it all because she's gone through all of her levels, which is the holy grail if you're in this work. She's really sold 12 houses thus far, hoping to sell 20. So she's out there hustling every day because she gets it all, right? So the sooner you can get through it, you get 100%. That's making the magic happen. But if you're out there thinking of buying a home, I'm telling you, the best way to know if you should buy a home is not can you afford the payment, because we're going to talk about in a second different ways to make a buck to afford the payment. That should be immaterial to you. You can make as much money as you want. You become a real estate agent yourself, sell your own 20 homes, make all the money. Yeah, I'll tell you. But what you need to know is how much cash you have for the down payment. That's going to drive everything. Now, Yao Yao, as people are looking at different financing options, what are people out there doing now? Are they going with a minimum down payment? What do you see people doing?
What I see is that people trying to do minimum down payment because of the inflation, people trying to save some money just in case. emergency, things happens, life changes happens. I was dealing with a client today, and speaking of that, they should have known me earlier. We can refer him to you. They haven't done their tax for 2 years. So they were behind, they were business owner, and we were looking at the finances. Like, okay, if we do bank statement loan, you can do a 10% down payment. But if you had your tax done, you could done, 5%.
Right.
FHA loan.
So what did you tell them to do, Yao Yao?
I was like, hey, go talk to Bosma. Get
Now
your
we're-
tax done.
No, it's so true. I was like, we can turn that around in a minute, right? And the way we do it, like I said, I think, like you think, well, I don't have why don't people file their tax return, especially your business owner? Why haven't you filed your tax return? Oh, my accounting is in a mess. I don't know where my receipts are. Like, just give me your bank statements. Give me the business bank statements, right? I have people that are both in the United States and outside the United States. They could summarize that bank account activity in a minute, right? Put it into an Excel sheet, right? We literally scan your bank statements in, convert it to Excel, and then categorize it, and then the owner looks at it, right? Because if we're late, just file an estimate. It's fine, right? But then when you're trying to qualify for a loan, you're in this interesting dichotomy between, do I show too much income or not enough? Show it all so you qualify get the best loan terms possible, and then we can help you figure out how to pay the tax on it. But that's where there's different ways to do that, right? So you can show, this is how profitable my business is, this is how much I'm putting into retirement, this is the cash flow I have. But that's where I think a lot of people, let's call them the uninformed masses, if you're putting less than 20% down on your home, you've kind of missed the boat. And the thing called mortgage insurance, because you get that mortgage insurance, it's just an additional interest cost to be able to own that home. And for what end, right? So just deploy the capital, do your 20%, don't have any mortgage insurance, you're fine. Excuse me. But then when what we're talking about is the economics of owning a home, primary personal residence. So when people are looking at homes, are they looking for nicer homes or less nice homes?
I think that most people look at what they can afford. If they already have a house right now, most people right now buying, like if they're not first-time home buyer, most of them already own a home. So what they want to use all their equity into a nicer home, upgrades, right? Have a bigger home, nicer neighborhood. That's pretty common right now.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No,
Stop.
they max it up.
Stop. Okay, no, I know you're okay. This segment's gonna make you a lot of money, even though it's not gonna feel like it. So
Right.
I apologize for what I'm about to say, but believe me, by the time we get to the end of it, you're like, this makes a lot of sense. Okay, so first and foremost, that first home you have, if it's humanly possible, don't sell it. Rent it. Okay, and the reason why you rent it, okay, let me just explain it this way. My childhood home in Livermore, California, my dad had the opportunity to buy that home for $40,000 in 1976, right? And of course, my dad, he wasn't going to, be taken by the man. What a ripoff, this, that, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, right? That home is now worth $2 million, right? And in California, in Prop 13, right, his taxes are still at $40,000 basis, right? So he had it made in the shade. But instead, because he was so smart, he decided, no, I'm not going to buy this home. That's for suckers. So same thing. If you can possibly float buying the new home and not selling the old one, which means save, people. Don't spend all your money at Starbucks. Save, right? That's how you create wealth. That's how you grow wealth, is have capital to deploy. And if you cannot sell that starter home you have and you can rent it instead, you can be that next 40,000, like a home now, right? A starter home, $200,000, $300,000, maybe $400,000. And you're like, well, gosh, I have $80,000 of equity. I want to take that. I need my equity. I need my equity. And then I'm going to stuff it into the next house. Yay. And maybe put some more money in that, or just take the equity and buy the bigger house because I have a bigger income. I can afford more. If you want to make more over the long term, right, as my oldest son, Brian, told me years ago, I was looking to transfer to San Jose to run the technology practice for Grant Thornton, big, top 5 CPA firm. And we're going to have to move to San Jose, Silicon Valley. It's like the houses were stupid expensive. And so we're looking at it, and I said, well, what we can afford and all the rest of it. And it was like, why? And my son said this. He goes, with what you can make in Silicon Valley, if we lived in a cardboard box, we would be rich. And that's true. Now, you don't have to live in a cardboard box, but the lower house you have for the longer amount of time, assuming you save the difference, that's the key, people, that you save the difference, that you you hoard that cash, right? You stuff it in your savings account. So that way you have a minimum amount of cash, then maybe make that so you don't have to sell that house, that you can buy the house of your dreams. When we come back, Yao Yao is going to talk to us about some of the opportunities out there in the market. It's Bosma on Business.
In life, things aren't scripted.
If you're an athlete, we need people like you and translate those skills to officiating.
You can get a lot out of it.
It happens in every town, in every game.
We never have a perfect game, but the rewards always outweigh the negativities.
Welcome back to Bosma on Business. Your host, Mike Bosma, in studio, on camera. I don't even know what to call it anymore. Yao Yao Zhuang from SNP Homes, talking about her entrepreneurial journey and kind of just if it's good or bad or otherwise to buy a house or not. And Yao Yao, before the break, I was telling you, it's like just buy the smallest of house humanly possible, but then save the difference. And I think what people do is they spend every penny they've ever made, right? So if there's money in the bank, that means there's more fun to be had. And you just have to kind of have this discipline. And I'm going to run this by you. Tell me what you think. So I had a buddy years ago, and he got a fixer-upper. Sounds like the one you bought when you first bought your home, right? Where you're doing all this work. But you say, well, if this house, it was a $600,000 house, what would the mortgage be on it? And then pay that mortgage, even though that's not what the mortgage is, right? Because then you're paying the mortgage down. Or if you decide, I don't want to pay the mortgage down, I want to save it, whatever it is, whether you save it, pay it down, whatever, you can create a whole lot of wealth. So as you look at the market right now, you said, hey, people generally are trying to upgrade their homes, nicer neighborhoods, nicer schools. And I'm saying, don't do it, people. Don't be a sucker. But I understand we also get to live and enjoy our life. Fine. How's the market out there right now? You see it heat up with the interest rates kind of, percolating down a little bit?
I always think that, people got used to years like last year and a couple years ago, like, everything was crazy. People are like, now is buyer's market now, we can just wait and we're going to wait longer and the market going to crash. All the crazy talks, right? Don't think so. We have the trainings all the time. We have the numbers showing it is definitely a little bit like a bipolar market. You see sellers' house sitting longer, and you see some of the houses still selling pretty fast if they, set the price right. You just can't be asking too much right now. The buyers are more calm, and they're waiting for the rate to drop. And the sellers thinking that we can be like last year, and then that's what's causing you like sitting on the 100 days on the market,
Right.
and that's how it is.
Well, if a house is sitting 100 days on the market, doesn't that mean it's overpriced or it's underdeveloped? It has deferred maintenance. It has some hair on it. I mean, 100 days in the market has to be a red flag to a buyer.
I think for most of the homes sitting on, if it's over 3 months, their price definitely is a little high. Or they do have to fix up some of the problems. Either reduce the price or take care of the stuff.
Or fix the problems, right? Most people, right, they don't want to fix the problems because once you get into them, you don't know what kind of problems you're getting yourself into. You fix the problems, okay, fine. It's been sitting for 3 months. Fix it.
Yeah, it's really, it's a communication. Sometimes the client, they don't see the problems, right? Like for us, when we walk in, we have feedbacks from the buyers. We say, hey, you might just a small fix, makes the house smell better, right? Pull the weeds, do something cosmetic change.
Right. Get rid of the cats.
Right.
Or take the cat. Don't get rid of the cat. Have the cats be somewhere else other than the house, right? So.
Right. It does take effort to sell a house. Mm-hmm. It's not like 2020, COVID, that time, people don't ask for anything. They'll take anything. They don't ask for repairs. It's a different market. I would say it's more reasonable.
More balanced market. That's
more
fine.
balanced.
And that makes sense. So I guess that's where when we look at it, people are, if I heard you right, Yao Yao, should I wait, right? See if things go down. I would say you can never time the market perfectly. You don't care about the market as a whole. You care about the one house, one piece of real estate you're going to buy. Just buy it right. In real estate, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. That's what the rules are. But just buy right. And I think that's where it is interesting. I was talking, do you do any multifamily at all?
Yeah. It's a great investment. I love it.
Great investment, right? So What kind of cap rates are you seeing out there in multifamily?
Right now, I don't think it's that much now. You know, before it went crazy.
Yeah. So just again, for the benefit of our, I guess, viewers, listeners, depending on which vertical you're looking at, the kind of the idea there is the higher the cap rate, the lower the value of the property. And a cap rate is what you expect to get in return from your investment in the property. So if you buy $1 million multifamily, which of course now could be anywhere from 4 to 10 doors, but you buy $1 million multifamily and you have a 5% cap rate, you're going to make $50,000 of net operating income on that investment. And what the good news is that interest rates have done, because you buy multifamily as an investment, right? You don't live there, so you have no attraction towards, this is a really nice apartment, even though I can't charge rent for it. So you have to make money. So because you have to make money, you have to be able to know. And as soon as that the equilibrium in cap rate. So if right now I'd say, interest rate's about 6.5%, and so we're putting offers out there on multifamily every day at guess what rate? 6.5%. I'm not going to give you a 5% cap rate and lose money on the value because my interest rate's outpacing, right, what I paid for this thing. And if I'm going to have to go in and re-tenant, if I'm going to have to go in and rehab a building, I'm not going to pay you, the seller, for that upside. I can't, right? I have to have that because the bank's going to require me to have that equity in it to be able to finance the improvements. But the reason I mentioned multifamily, Yao Yao, is, so if you have somebody that's looking at multifamily, make sure that they're aware of this thing called a cost segregation study. A cost segregation study for a real estate that's being, not used personally, but used as a business. You're renting this real estate. Then you can do this cost segregation study and you'll get about a 25% deduction in year one on whatever you paid, including whatever you financed. So let's say you buy that $1 million multifamily piece of apartment building. You put $200,000 down, you finance $800,000. You're going to get a $250,000 first year deduction on the value of that once you do that cost segregation study. So that's now with bonus depreciation that was fixed through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. You get that windfall in year one, and then generally you're not going to pay tax on this thing for years because the residual depreciation is going to take out any taxable income. Very tax efficient. The only way to really get that benefit, unfortunately, is you need somebody in your family to be a real estate professional. Now, Yao Yao, you're a real estate professional, right? So do you guys have a bunch of real estate in your portfolio so you can take all these tax benefits?
See, I have my own home right now. I'm not planning on selling, so that was great advice too. I'm
Right.
holding on to it.
Right. Because that's where for you, if if you're making money and you say, I want to grow the empire, I want to grow my financial wealth, that's where the intersection of tax and wealth advisory comes in. You can deploy that capital, finance into multifamily, and then get this windfall. And now the key is it doesn't stop there. The secret sauce then is, like in your case, let's say you bought that $1 million multifamily. You get a $250,000 reduction. You may or may not still have taxable income after that. What I would tell people to do that year, right, when you buy it, then you can look at, okay, how much taxable income are you going to have? If it's going to drive a loss or, really up to about $250,000 of taxable income, take all your retirement money up to that $250,000 taxable income level and do a Roth conversion on it. That's the supercharge, this benefit of buying the real estate. Because if, again, you got to be a real estate professional. You're a real estate professional, more than 750 hours in the trader business of real estate, more than 50% of your time. But, and husband or wife, doesn't matter, either one. But then you make that investment, you get that windfall, $250,000 deduction, and then take all your money in retirement and move it over to a Roth. And you don't pay any tax on it because you still have more losses than you have income. So you basically do a tax-free Roth conversion and let that grow for years and years and years, right? And you'll make all the money because that's really what it's all about, being able to grow your wealth in a very tax-efficient manner. And then the business broker side of the house, right? The three houses, business brokerage, CPA, wealth advisory, is when you get to the place of having this real estate empire, you want to sell it off. Yeah, we know people. We know how to do that. So what do you think? You have to buy some multifamily, Yao Yao?
You know what? That's my goal.
Okay, now we're talking. Now, we have you. What Do you have any pressing questions or needs or thoughts? Like, what's your biggest tax headache right now?
So tax is like we're real estate professionals. We're living our life like on the go all the time. We hate the papers. We hate taxes. We have to save. My first year, the challenge was I did not know about tax at all. Like my client wants to go have lunch. Let's do it. Let's drive an hour away and to go do that. I did not save my mileage. I paid way too much for my first year.
That makes me sad, Yao Yao. I'm sorry. So how are you tracking mileage now?
So I have a Miley. It's an app on the phone.
Right. That's the key, right? You have your app. There's a handful of them out there. Tracks wherever you go. That is called contemporaneous recording of an expense. It's the gold standard in IRS audit land, right? Here's my record. We can fight about what's commute or not. But, and so the key there is knowing when do you start your day and then when are those mileage segments deductible versus commute. We know that going from your home to your office is a non-deductible personal expense. But if you work out of your home and you start your day working at home, then going from your home, which is also your office, to the next place, there is no commute because you work in your home. So a lot of times my business owners, we get them set up with a home office, then make sure they start their day at home, right? They're doing emails, right? Usually as soon as a business owner, you roll out of bed, right? You're seeing what blew up on your phone overnight. So you're starting your day, substantial portion of your day, clearing emails, getting that stuff done, then go to your second office, which might be your office, continue the day, and then do the same thing at night. So then you have no commute. It's just knowing that, I actually have to start my day at this, and do it and document it, right? You have the emails. Like, no, I'm doing a substantial amount of work from my office. This is and as we know, as real estate professionals, is it office hours 8 to 5? No, it's 8 to 8, 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. Whenever they need me, I'm available, right, Yao Yao?
Right. You're on it.
You're on it. So we talked about some of the tax problems when we first got going. How do you track your expenses? Just curious.
I'm still cutting the mess. I try to do spreadsheets. I'm not I try to save my file in I am trying to do more papers because I really don't, tech issue.
The secret sauce is get contact me and we'll put you on our console for QuickBooks Online, basically to import your bank records. So that way you're not having to enter all that stuff in. And then when you get to your CPA at the end of the year, you give them the report. It's basically done. Very, very streamlined way to do that. Also, it's also audit proof because it's all tied into your bank account. But then lastly, I want to make sure we get this as we close this segment, Yao Yao. Think about a limited liability company for your real estate company.
I really thought about that, and especially after I listened to the last podcast you had.
Right.
It was
That's
great.
it.
Yeah.
Right. So, because if you do that LLC now, even though it's a single member LLC, it doesn't have to file a tax return, you're good. But that gives you the benefit up to 3 years backwards to go back and reimagine if you want to be an S corporation or not. So when we come back, Yao Yao, you're going to tell me the number one thing somebody needs to know before they become a real estate professional. It's Bosma on Business when we come back.
What if you had some money waiting for you at the IRS? Money you could use to fix up the house, tune up the car, get a little something for the family, or save for a rainy day. If you worked and didn't make much money last year, find out about the Earned Income Tax Credit at irs.gov. It makes life a little easier.
Welcome back to Bosma on Business. Your host, Mike Bosma. Online, on air, on video, on demand. For the benefit of our radio show listeners, if you want to jump over and get the video of this and also be able to really, the bottom of the video, what you'll see is a whole bunch of calls to action and links to where you need it. So if you need a link to the Secretary of State website, it's on the video. Just go to Bosma on Business, subscribe, and pull those links out of the video. We're just trying to have a more robust experience for the people that loyally follow us. Also, what we're doing is every week, sending out the Bosma Brief or the Keystone Brief, which is really everything you need to know for that week for a business owner. Just hitting it so that at a high level, these are things you just need to be aware of for this week, and then move on. It comes out every Tuesday. You can go to keystone.cpa and sign up for that newsletter and make sure that you're just getting smart about these things, because that's what my passion is helping people not overpay their taxes. Words of the Honorable Judge, learned in hand, we have no patriotic compulsion to pay more taxes than we ought. So just we don't underpay your taxes, but just don't pay more than you need to. Speaking of that, so Yao Yao, I appreciate you sharing your journey. I love that you've completely embraced really the American dream, and great to see that you're flourishing here in the United States. But jumping into those business waters, that's a thing. So before somebody decides to jump in, what's the big aha, the big thing that you wish you knew before you jumped in to become a real estate professional?
I would say is learn yourself and never, don't get confused by so many other things. It is simple. Business is business. Know yourself what you want. If you want to be like, I want to grow in 10 years, I want to be making $200K, you got to do it. Find the right person, get the connection, and talk to smart people and talk to Bosma, right?
Now we're talking.
Yeah. And don't be afraid. Like this community where we are supporting each other. I've seen so many successful people from the bottom, like where I was at. But if you do not have the courage to challenge yourself, keep learning about your tax, learn about your business, learn your necessary skills to help with your business, networking. And this may not be for you, but
And I think that's it, right? Because what you're doing is you're exploring, right? So you get your real estate, in this case, get your real estate license, sign up with a great broker like SNP Homes, where they're going to train you, not just, give you the license to do real estate. They're going to train you how to do it. That's why they get their commission. But also just be willing to be uncomfortable for a season. Just, when you first jump into these waters, right? It's like jumping into Lake Tahoe, right? Where it looks nice, summer day, it's, 80 degrees outside. And when you jump in the lake that's 50 degrees, it hits you like cold, bah! And that's what it's like jumping into business waters, right? And you just have to acclimate, and then you warm up, and it's like, okay, I see how this works. But just be willing to be uncomfortable. And I think if you haven't done that for a while, if you're out there and you watch or listen to the show, and you're thinking, if I only had a little more money, maybe I can buy that nicer house. Maybe I can buy that nicer car. Maybe I could then actually fully fund my retirement plan so I could do this Roth IRA thing or buy a multifamily property, whatever. If I just had some more money, I'd be able to do that. Then find a side hustle. Any side hustle will do. DoorDash, doesn't matter, right? Uber, right? You have a car, just Uber, right? Pick up people's groceries for them. But whatever it is, and just try it. Try it for a week, try it for 2 weeks, and you'll find that you'll get used to that, being uncomfortable and learning new things. And then once you do, your world is your oyster. There is nothing else to be afraid of, because if I can learn this, I can learn anything else. And like Yao Yao, when you did, right, 3 years ago, you're like, I'm going to become a top producing real estate agent. My goal in life is not to have to give any of my commission to my broker, right? Those are good aspirations. Those are great aspirations. So thank you so much for coming and sharing your journey. Hopefully for the benefit of our listeners, if you found something here helpful, or if you need more help, just give us a call. All of that contact information you can find online. Until next week, it's Mike Bosma from Bosma on Business. Until then, just keep that business engine humming.